This will be very, very tricky. I will try to really keep it to a minimum. I have to discuss Normal Again in detail, but even there, I will try to minimize what occurred. If you're familiar with the Buffy fandom, Normal Again is usually considered one of the peak episodes, and there have been many, many fan theories about it. I will explore one in detail about Spike. So what is the theory? Well, it's pretty out there, but if you know Buffy, a couple episodes prior to Normal Again, Riley returned in a very bizarre episode where he's kind of like this James Bond figure, and he and Buffy reconnect. But this time, Riley is married to Sam, and so I think the episode is trying to point out how the Spike-Buffy relationship cannot work. I don't agree with that, by the way, but this is not the time to do the Spuffy case. But it's kind of a reflection on Spuffy, where she is in her depression, her idealism about Riley, because it's really over the top. He is super masculine superhero man in the entire episode. And everyone, hey, Riley was not such a bad guy. Maybe there's more to Riley than we think. So it's a very weird episode, but there's one simple little thing about it that people have not really focused on. Again, admittedly, it's not much, but something is there. So in the story, Spike calls himself the Doctor, and he pulls off this really stupid plan, which gets foiled, and for whatever reason, he uses the alias the Doctor. And in Normal Again, we have literally a doctor, and his role and Spike's role they're not identical, but there is an overlap. So the way I understand it is this. Buffy could be faking it. In other words, she could be an unreliable narrator. So the Normal Again reality is real, and that makes sense. And so in terms of the Buffyverse, the Normal Again episode is not real. It's being faked. And one way to sort of have both be true in a certain way is to assume Buffy's being an unreliable narrator. And that might work for the Riley episode because the way Riley acts, the way he seems, the way Sam is acting, they feel more like fantasy figures. They don't, even within the Buffyverse, they feel very, very weird. So it could be we're not getting what actually happened, but Buffy's fantasy projection, and she's imposing it on us, but we, the viewer, don't know that. So in other words, when we see the Doctor in Normal Again, that's her symbolization of Spike and how she feels trapped in the relationship. There are still some few dodgy moments there because, again, for instance, Joyce and the Doctor are not close, but Spike and Joyce are close in the Buffyverse. So the Doctor doesn't play the exact role, and we don't get the entire Buffyverse. We get Hank Summers, so I would assume Hank is a version of Giles and so on and so forth, but we don't get the entire cast and crew. So we only get a little bit of the Buffyverse if the Buffyverse is in Normal Again. But if Normal Again is true, right, the Normal Again reality, the hospital is true, then the Buffyverse doesn't exist. So Spike is a fantasy projection of Buffy. But as the Doctor says in one of the dialogue, the way she's constructing the fiction is so ridiculous. He seems to have kind of this season by season TV life where she had formidable villains like Glory, Adam, but she's reduced to fighting a bunch of geeks like Warren. But there's some more interesting stuff because the actor playing the Doctor is called Warren. Definitely Joss Whedon is playing a lot of tricks on us that he's going back and forth between the TV show and real life and the real actors. That's what makes the episode very, very hard to understand because it seems to be playing with both things. We have the real-life person, Sarah Michelle Gellar, then we have the Buffy character, but Buffy is being fractured into different realities. And it's never clarified by the end of Normal Again. We don't know which one was really real. I still think Normal Again is its own reality. There is a kind of multiverse where the Normal Again reality is its own reality, because we do have a few clues from Whedon who said that Buffy Summers, in his mind, is part of the X-Men, right? Because in the X-Men we have Cyclops, and Cyclops' real name is Scott Summers. So we do have some valid clues that the Normal Again reality does kind of exist out there, maybe in the MCU or some other place. But that said, Spike's role is still unclear. If he is the Doctor, is he trying to help Buffy or keep her imprisoned, at least in season 6? I don't know, but it is really weird that he has that alias. Why would he call himself a doctor? It just doesn't seem to fit the story. It just seems really, really arbitrary. And they never follow up on it. Like, well, why'd you call yourself that? We don't know. But if the Normal Again is a canonical kind of universe, and then that is explained, it's her projection of what she thinks Spike is. So it's a lot of question marks. I'm just exploring the theory. What do you guys think? It's very, very weird stuff. But then again, Normal Again is weird, but I think in a very delightful way.